Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Today is the 15th day of Shvat. It's called beshvat. It's known as the Rosh Hashanah, the New Year for trees. So we'll talk about that a little bit. There's a Gemara in Maseches Tainus, Tractate Tainus 7a. It says like this. My dechsiv, this that it says in the Torah, ki ha'adam eitz hasada, that the person is like a tree in the field. So the Gemara asks, ki adam eitz hasadahu? Is it really so that a person is like a tree in the field? I mean, if you take a person and a tree, they're quite different in many, many different ways. So what's the comparison between the tree and the person and the tree? See, so the Gemara says, the chsiv that says, ki mimenu soichel, from this tree, a fruit tree we're talking about, not every tree, fruit trees. From it you should eat. You should not chop it down. There are many laws about chopping down a fruit tree. There's a lot of limitations when it comes to that. So be very careful. Okay, so what is that? How does that apply when it comes to a human being? If he's a wise, learned person, hagun, proper Talmud Chacham, from him you should eat. Don't cut him down. If not, then don't take his fruit. So there's a question over here. Obviously, the person is not a tree and a tree is not a person. So the Gemara asks, how could you compare the two? So the Gemara gives an answer. What is the comparison? That just like the tree bears fruit and you eat it, so too, if the person is a proper person that bears fruit, that he's a learned person and he has what to teach, then you should take from him just like you take fruit from a tree. That's also not a comparison. It's a detail. It's not that the tree now and the person are exactly the same. There's a thing that you can learn from it. There's a nice lesson. But that was the Gemara's question. The Gemara's question was, is it really the same? It's not the same. And then the Gemara says it is the same. Why? Because of this. So is it the same or is it not the same? It seems like from the answer, the Gemara just found one detail to compare it. We're back to the question. So there's an interesting explanation. When it comes to a person, we operate based on our intellect and our emotions. The intellect, you can go from one place to the other. Today, this idea makes sense to you. Tomorrow, that idea makes sense to you. It doesn't make a difference what type of personality you have. The second you understand something, you can go from A to Z. You go from east to west. When it comes to emotions, the people's emotions, your personality is who you are. Very, very hard to eradicate that or to change it or to transform that. A tree has something that is very, very interesting, different than a human being. A tree needs to be attached to the ground, and you clearly see where it comes from. You clearly see where the energy is coming from. A person and the animal kingdom, we eat food that's not attached to us. We roam around, and the source of our energy, the source of our life, is not directly connected to us. Even fish they also live in the water, but they can move around in the water. They're not limited to one place in the water. Okay? So the tree has a very unique characteristics that it is connected clearly with its place. You can move the tree. Most of the time you don't. You could sometimes move the tree, but if you need to move the tree, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to move the tree. The bigger, the more work. And sometimes if you plant it somewhere else, it could even be better. But it takes work to move a tree. When it comes to midos, for a person to change your character traits, it's very, very hard. It's like moving a tree. It's mamish like moving a tree. And the person has to understand that. So now, and that is really the essence of the person. Because the person, that nature is almost impossible to change. So when you look at the person, what's the source? What's the foundation? What is the identity of the person? His personality, his character traits. Im Talmud Chacham Hagunhu, the Gemara says. If he is a proper Talmud Chacham, not only that he's wise and he knows how to learn, but he conducts himself properly. He has proper midos, proper characteristics, proper character traits. He's a refined person. From him you should eat. From him you should learn, because that's what a person is all about. And that's what you learn from a tree. It's not just a detail. This represents the idea, the foundation of what a person is all about. that a person has to work on your midos. You have to work on your character traits. You have to work on your characteristics. You have to work on your personality. This is where the work comes. To learn, of course, it's also work, but the learning makes the person, you could go with it very easy. But to change your personality, whoo, that's a whole different level. So, ki adam eitz sada, we have to try to recognize, just like the tree needs to be connected. And that's the life of the tree. So too, every person, the life of the person in a sense is your midos. That's where the work lies. That's where the real muscles is necessary. Hashem should help. We should be able to learn from the tree. We should be a real eitz hasada. We should give off fruit. We should be a Talmud Chacham Hagun. And the people that eat our fruit should be able to enjoy and learn proper things that they have to learn. And we should be zoicha to the coming of Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'Karav Mamish. Amen.